Hello. What's up, gang? How are you guys? So happy to see you guys again. I know y'all miss me, right? I'm sure you miss me. Listen, I'm back for the new year, new style, new hairstyle going on. You know what I'm saying? Keeping it fly. You know how we do. But listen, I have been having a wonderful time this holiday, and I have just thoroughly enjoyed my time off and my break. We took a 2-week-long break and we did everything. We went on the boat, went on the river. We were able to see some of the great sights along the riverside. We went 1,100 feet below the surface of the earth, and we walked around a mile or so underground in caverns, looking at stalagmites and stalactites and different rock formations. And we were able to see one of the greatest light shows under the earth, I think, right? So we saw a waterfall under the earth. It was like, whoa. And the light show around the waterfall was awesome. That was great. We also went on an airlift. So we were under the earth and above the earth. We went on an airlift to the top of the mountain, and we're trying to we're trying to snow tubing down the mountain. That was pretty cool. We also did sleepover with the sharks. So we went to the aquarium and we were able to have a night where we slept in the aquarium. So we got the aquarium all to ourselves. We're able to touch the jellyfish. Of course, they cut off the poisonous part that would kill you, so it's just all safe. Touch the jellyfish. We were able to touch the baby tiger sharks. And then, of course, sleep underneath in the shark lagoon and have sharks swimming above your head. Like, that was super, super cool. And then what else did we do? We went to Ripley's, Believe It or Not, and saw some cool things there. We did a bunch of rides. We just did a whole bunch of stuff, and we thoroughly enjoyed our holiday. And when I was done, I was just like, oh, I'm tired of having fun now. It's time to go back to work, right? So I have thoroughly enjoyed my break, and now I'm getting back into the rhythm of getting back into the business analysis world. And so this video, I want to talk to you about starting your career, right? This is the start of the year, and I want to just emphasize, what do you need to know to start your career as a business analyst? So many of you out there trying to get started in the field, maybe you've just gotten your first job or you're still looking to get your job, and I want to just give you some pointers as to what you should do to start your career. This is not about the interview. This is not about how to articulate yourself to land the job. This is really all the tenets that you really need to know. A lot of it you learn from your courses, you learn from your certifications, you learn from the Babok. But I'm going to put it in a way that I think would be very relatable to you. You know how I like to do stuff, right? I like to be relatable, I like to be simple, or I like to be easy to understand. That's my style, right? And I'm going to give it to you right now. So, what do you need to know to start your career as a business analyst? So this is in no particular order. I'm just giving you a bunch of stuff. It's not in any order. So one of the first things that comes to mind is knowing how to document, right? You got to be comfortable writing documentation. Some of you don't like to write. Some of you don't even like to read. You got to be comfortable with it, right? You have to write business style documents that you can explain to others, you can share with others, that clients can look at. It can be client facing, so you know what to detail and what not to detail. You know how much information to share, right? So you have to be able to write client facing documentation, and to be able to add color and clarity around whatever it is that you're trying to explain, right? So writing is very important, and particularly being able to write the business requirements document. This is a very important document, which is the core of you, is a core deliverable that you produce if you're working in Waterfall as a business analyst. You have to know how to write requirements, okay? So business requirements document is very important. I have videos on that. You can go to my website and download a free template. If you need personalized help, you can get the consult on writing documentation, so many things. But you have to focus on how to write requirements document. And one of the best things you can do is you can start writing requirements document to practice. Come up with a problem that you're solving and say, how would I write the requirements if I was a BA working with this company? Pick a random website. Let's say you pick a Walmart website and say, okay, if I was given this website mock-up, how would I break this into features? How would I write requirements for this? And go challenge yourself to write requirements, right? You need to know how to do this. It's going to be very important for your career. So I've provided you with lots of resources around it. You have the templates, you have the videos, you have everything. So go practice, go do, okay? The other thing that you need to know to be a good business analyst and to get your career started as a business analyst is you need to understand Agile. You have to understand this methodology, especially Agile Scrum. How does that work? So mainly Scrum and Kanban are the two Agile frameworks that are the most popular and the most common. But just understanding what is Agile, how is this iterative process different from waterfall, from what we're used to doing, which is one thing starts and ends before the other thing starts and ends and so on. How is this iterative process? How does that work? I have tons of videos on that. Go watch them. Here are some playlist that has Agile stuff. Go watch those and get a feel for Agile, understand it. Even if you're not working in an Agile environment, know what it is so you can answer the questions when they ask you in the interview or even suggest things in your job. Be very comfortable with Agile and know what it is for sure. That's very important for your career. The other thing you need to know in order to start your career as a business analyst is how to get the domain knowledge, right? This is something we always overlook. How do you do this? It means, how do you understand the company, what they do, their business, their customers, the services they provide, the products they provide? Like, how do you get up that learning curve? How do you understand the company? And anybody who gets a new job has this problem. Because when you get a new job, you have to learn that new company, the way they do things, their products, their services, the stakeholders, the client. Like, you have to learn all of the things about that company that's not really transferable from where you're coming from, not all the time. So you need to start figuring out, how do you get this domain knowledge about that particular company, industry, or the way they do business. And to do that, you have to be willing to do a lot of research. Don't depend on your onboarding process. Don't depend for them to tell you everything that you're going to need to know for your job. It's not going to happen. Get in the real world, okay? You are going to have to take the bull by the horns and go learn this stuff. So you're going to read all the manuals. You're going to look at whatever is on the documentation on the website. You're going to read project information. You're going to do wherever you can find the information. You're going to go get it. You're going to do whatever you have to do to get the information, to understand. And some of the things you're going to read may not be directly related to the job or directly related to the project you're working on. It could be just general information, like the history of the company, or where this product came from and who are the users of this product. Maybe you're not even working on that product, but you're going to engross yourself. You're going to soak up as much information as you can, because it's going to become useful at some point in the future when you have to help make a decision on a requirement, right? So you're going to dive in with both feet. You're going to jump in there and you're going to learn, because you need to understand the world in which you're going to be working in. You got to understand the company, you got to understand the clients, you got to understand the products and services. You got to understand the department and how that functions from a different department. All that stuff you got to go learn. And that is a domain knowledge, right? So you're going to need to know that to be able to start your career as a business analyst. Now, don't worry about knowing that before you get your job. Obviously, when you get the job, you know which area you're focused on, and then you can focus your learning on that, okay? So it's a problem that you don't have to solve right now, but everybody has to solve this when they get their new job. So the next thing you have to learn in order to start your career as a business analyst is requirement solicitation. I know. Nobody likes to do this. Nobody likes it because it's very kind of hard, right? It's not an exact science. It's like every project is different. You never know if you're getting the right requirements. Are you really solving the right problem? I get it. And even a seasoned business analyst like myself will still have to go into a project and strategize. Okay, how am I going to figure out what we really need to solve? What is the real problem that we need to solve, and make sure we're not just trying to pass off something that will not solve the problem. So this is a skill and you're going to have to start doing the job to get the skill. You're not going to be able to know this way ahead of time. There are some techniques, of course, and you can read the books and do the courses and do the certifications, and they'll expose you to some of those things. But the crux of it is going to be when you start doing the job. So I just want to tell you that even though you may not feel comfortable with this yet, because you're going to have to do the job to get the comfort or to be seasoned in it, it's something you have to dominate. You have to know this. This is not something you can wing. This is the crux. This is the core. This is the heart of being a business analyst, and you have to know how to elicit requirements. The other thing that you need to know in order to start your career as a business analyst is UAT testing. You're going to need to know how to conduct UAT testing. You're going to know what it does, why we do it, how to structure it, how to organize it. Luckily for you, I have an article on my website, karaleise.com, that talks about UAT. I have an extensive video, right? Extensive video here that you can just click on and watch, and you can learn how to do the UAT. I also have the template for doing the UAT on my website, free for you to download. You have no excuse. It's all there for you. I've given you all these resources. Okay, go ahead and take advantage of them. And again, if you need personalized help with how to do yours, you can always book a consultation, and I can guide you through that individually. So no problem with that. Now, picking back off of Agile, you also have to know how to write user stories in order for you to start your career as a business analyst. Now, I say that, and I'm going to give myself a caveat. If you're working in a very waterfall environment, you don't really have to know the user stories, because you can get away with writing only your requirements document. But I would say every business analyst right now should endeavor to know how to write user stories, because wherever you're working, you may not work there forever. And every company is going agile at some point. It's just the natural thing to do. So you're going to be thrown into the world of user stories and agile. So why not just start learning it now? So you need to brush up on your skills. If you already are a business analyst and you're already working in the field, if you're not using user stories, brush up on it. Go figure it out. Go figure out how it works, because you're going to see it come up at some point in your career. And if you're new, it's even better to know both things. The business requirements document and the user story writing is very, very important. Again, I have tons of videos on this. I have articles on this. I have lots of resources in all of my different mediums, between my podcast and the video, my website. There's tons of stuff for free that you can go get, and you can go learn how to write user stories. All right, the other thing you need to learn if you want to start your career as a business analyst is business modeling. So this happens a lot when you're trying to communicate something that's usually very complicated, or you just want to have a visual to what you're talking about. Happens a lot in the elicitation phase, to understand what is the as-is process, and then as you get into the solution, to know what the solution should look like in that process. It's especially helpful when you're doing process improvement, a little bit more so than when you're doing software projects. So having the skill to be able to come up with these models is very good. Now, you can follow the standard ones, the flow charts, the swim lanes, all these other diagrams, UML diagrams, BPMN stuff. You can follow those things, and it's great. But I will caution you from my experience that sometimes coming up with your own model that just mimics the world that you're in, your domain, is great, right? You don't have to stick to what the book says. You don't have to stick to some predefined explanation. I mean, there's certain things that are standard, like a decision is one of those a diamond-shaped boxes. Like, you don't want to use that for something else. It's going to confuse people. But you can come up with your own diagrams. You can come up with your own models. You can create your own thing, and it's probably going to be more tailored to whatever you're trying to solve for. So my caution is that sometimes with these UML diagrams and these BPMN, you learn them and they're great in the education world, and then when you go into the real world and you put up these diagrams, you end up confusing people. You end up with people not knowing what they mean, and you have to explain the lines and why this notation is here, and you end up becoming more of an expert in diagramming and not really conveying what you're trying to convey. So I just if you're talking to an audience that is very versed on the type of diagrams you're showing, then by all means go ahead. But the average person, if you're talking to executives especially, or clients, they don't know all of that stuff, and you end up confusing them more than making yourself clear. So just be careful about how how strict you want to follow some of these things. The book is great for your exams, for your certification, but it's not always good for practice, okay? So the very next thing that you need to know in order to start your career as a business analyst is wireframing and mockups. Wireframing and mockups. So this is one that you may or may not have to do. So if you work with a UX team and they are already creating these pixel perfect wireframes or these, pixel perfect mockups, you don't really need to worry about it. They already have the design for you. You're good. You're very good. You just need to know how to communicate with UX and make sure that they're understanding the requirements and they're able to design around those requirements. And by the way, UX is such now that they're crossing over into business analysis, so they have to know what they're solving for to come up with the design. So there's a lot of overlap right now between the UX designers and the business analysts. So, just a side note there. But if you're working with UX designers, you really don't have to worry too much about the markup. But there are cases where you don't have a UX designer and you are it, right? So you don't have to learn Sketch and Figma. You don't have to learn these things in so much depth that you become an UX expert. Nobody's asking you to do that. But you have to be able to put a picture to what you're talking about. You have to be able to come up with a wireframe. And the difference between a mockup and a wireframe is just that the wireframe can just be grayscale, just basic, minimalist, right? But the mockup tends to have color and pixels and details about padding and all this different stuff that makes it very, very exact, right? So it's like a spec, a design spec. So that's really the difference. Now, typically as a business analyst, they don't expect you to become a UX designer overnight. So just doing your wireframes is fine. If you want to go into detail and do more mockups, if you want to capture a screenshot of the screen that you're trying to change and just change the button or put a table where it needs to go, that's fine too. Whatever works, because it's not intended to be an exact model. You don't have to follow every single pixel to the T. It's just going to be, here's an idea of what we want it to look like, and then the developers can use their design systems, their patterns, their style guide or whatever to make sure it's represented in the way that matches the rest of the application, right? So knowing how to do mockups and wireframes is going to be very important for starting a career as a business analyst. So the last thing I want to talk about for you to know what you need to know to start your career as a business analyst is you really need to practice and be very good at translating business needs to technical team. You have to be able to take a very complicated idea or a very business focused idea and chunk that up into different smaller steps and have the conversation with the technical team and be able to understand the challenges. Maybe you have to go back to the business team and say, okay, well, technically we can't do it this way. We're going to have to do it that way. Is that still okay? Does that solve the problem? And get their sign off, go back to the technical team and say, okay, now we're going to do it this way, and make that transition for them. Because your dev people sometimes can't talk to your business people because they don't speak the same language, right? You are the bridge in between. You are the one who understands the stakeholder so well that you can represent the stakeholder to the technical team and make sure that they're developing solutions that's going to solve the business problem. How do you have that conversation? How do you be the liaison? How do you translate between both of them so that they can all understand each other and the solutions that they come up with over here matches the problem that they're trying to solve for over here? It takes skill and it takes practice. You're not going to learn it overnight. You should be okay with not knowing how to do this. When you start, right? It's not like in your career, you shouldn't be, a year in and not understand this, or 2 years. So you're going to not know some things before you start. You're going to start anyway. You're going to have that feeling in your stomach, that nervousness, like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen when I get my first project. It's okay. You're supposed to feel that way. It's okay. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. I know what I'm saying. It's okay that you feel uncomfortable. It's okay that you don't know everything. You're not going to understand elicitation right away. You're not going to understand translation right away. And you're probably going to document things wrong the first time. Right? Start scared. Start unsure. Go out there and apply for that job and go to that interview, represent yourself well, and get that job and start that new project not knowing how to do it. It's okay. Be comfortable that this is how you start. You start uncomfortable. right? And as you get into it, you're going to apply yourself. You're not going to stay in the state of limbo for a long time, right? You're going to say, oh, I don't know what to do here. Okay, maybe I should start over here. Go over here and see what you can do. Sometimes you'll have a senior BA to guide you so that you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. But sometimes you don't. And if you don't, you got to get in there and do it anyway. You're going to go in there, right? And don't worry that, oh, I'm going to cost the company money and it's going to be, there will be a team. There will be support. There will be management. There will be gates and balances to make sure you don't go completely off the rails. But you're looking to be comfortable. You're looking to know everything. You're looking to feel like you know what to do before you get the job, and you're not going to know what to do. What you must have is the attitude to go find out. What you must have is the attitude to be corrected. What you must have is the attitude to say, okay, that didn't work last time. Let me not do this again. Okay, that's what you need to be, self-reflective and improving as you go along. Make mistakes and learn from them. Make mistakes, learn from them. Make mistakes, learn from them. And have the attitude to learn and to try to know things that you don't know, like go after the information. Also have the attitude of openness and transparency. Don't go in there like, I know everything and I'm the boss, I know everything. No, you know that this is your first job. So you're going to go in there with the attitude of, I'm new here. I'm still trying to learn. Here's what I think about this process. Can I get some feedback on that? And as you're going through the steps before you make big blunders, right? You try to get people together who know more than you, and you present the ideas to them and you get the feedback. And the feedback is, that's crazy. That's not a good idea. We need to change this. Sometimes you take it with a grain of salt and you still kind of push through. And sometimes you're like, well, that's true. They brought up a point I didn't think about. Let me go change this and fix this and do that and come back. It's going to be iterative. It's going to be feedback, adjust until you both get to a place of consensus. That is how you start your career. That's how you get into the field. That's how you start making impact and making waves. And so I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully I gave somebody some information they didn't have before. Hopefully I was able to calm some of the anxiety you'll feel about starting this career. It's a great career to be in. I love it. I think it's great. And I want you to share in that too. I want to help you to get to where I am. And the more of us here, that'll be just better for the career in general. So that's what I have to share with you today. And I hope that you check out my other videos, check out my podcast, check out my website, go download some free templates. If you need personalized help, go to the link on my website or at the end of this or below somewhere, and you can book a consultation with me. It'd be great to work with you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.